Welcome back, everyone. I am your host, Lela Yines, and this is a Frame of Mind podcast. A podcast designed for individuals who are willing to reach their high potential selves, open to wisdom and knowledge, and all talk self-improvement, mental health, and mindset growth. In this podcast, I aim to deliver a message that inspires you, motivates you to create change, and one day makes you successful. So, with no further means, let's dive into this week's podcast episode. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been almost a month that I have been here on my platform. I am so beyond excited for this week's podcast episode because, as you can see, new background. I am so beyond excited for this podcast episode because of the new background and because of the topic that I am bringing today. This whole month of January, I wanted to focus on my dreams, my goals, and try to schedule a routine and something for the podcast, in which season 2 is in the making. So, want more information about season 2? Well, let me tell you about season 2. So in this project, I want to get guests over to my podcast and I want to talk to them about a topic or a story about their lives that would help individuals out there know more about the situation. We misjudge because of misrepresentation. So what I want to do in impact of the podcast is to allow people to tell their stories with an impact, with motivation, instead of just telling a story that's supposed to be tea or it's supposed to be something to make entertainment use out of it. Instead, I want to make stories to be impactful in people's life and that we can be able to know and understand more about people's minds in positions like that. So that's the project for season 2. I'm so excited. I don't know when I'm gonna post yet the season, but I know right now it's in the making. So let's pray to God that these guests are people that are willing, people that are wanting to share their stories, and overall having wisdom and knowledge to provide for my audience. New environment, new changes in life. We're always gonna navigate a life that's uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen the day of tomorrow. That's why we shouldn't boast about what's going to happen tomorrow, because we really don't know what's going to happen. So I was challenged to talk to many individuals about what is something that they've been carrying. And most of them were asking about how they want to be guided and they want to see the best selves or how they want something better in their life. And all of them had a pattern. They all had something familiar. And I don't know if this is because of the season, like the winter, or because most of my friends are senior. Whatever the case might be, all of them had the pattern that all of them consisted of the desire to know of something certain. It's going to be challenging navigating the path that you're uncertain about. Sometimes we're challenged through this because we need to be tested and to be straightened upon this challenge. Yes, it's going to hurt. Yes, you're going to suffer. But this is what helps refine you in the season. So think about this. When you're in a season like this, think about the results if you were to continue to be persistent. That's the test that you're given upon this season. This season is meant to test you and to help you build resistance, to build persistence, to build resilience. And all of these things are going to help you see the outlook of other many different situations because you already dealt with something like this. Yes, as I mentioned before, it's going to hurt, it's going to be difficult, but because you already experienced it, you already have a lesson that you already know about into play. That's what's amazing about being tested. That's what's amazing about being in seasons that are happening right now. Because I'm telling you, if you were to go through this right now in the future, you would have probably had no idea because you haven't experienced it before. But because other people experienced it or because you're experiencing it, you're able to give that knowledge or give that wisdom to somebody else that needs the word of encouragement. This season is meant for encouragement. This season is meant to refine you. This season is meant to build you up. So don't think about it as a bad way. Think about it as a chance of hope. Let's talk about how to navigate through the uncertainty. There's 8 different tips that would help you navigate through this life of uncertainty, which is not guaranteed to change your life 100%, but what it's supposed to do is to help you navigate. We need to stop forcing ourselves out of something that's supposed to happen because we feel uncomfortable. I feel like I always talk about this, but to be honest, we need to allow ourselves to be in a place and be able to establish that persistence instead of forcing ourselves out of it without actually getting a result of change. Number one, you have to be anchored with purpose. I advocate for this because I feel like without purpose, we're nothing. When you're rooted in purpose, nothing can take you apart. Think about a tree. It's already rooted. Can you take it off that easily? No. It's already rooted for life. You know, oxygen, photosynthesis. So we get that. They produce life. Purpose produces life. When we're rooted, nothing can take us apart. But you know what can take us apart? Choices. Poor choices can take away the seed that's trying to be rooted in the soil because of poor choices. Think about the choices you're making in everyday life. Think about the choices that you're doing in everyday life. Think about, is this going to benefit my future? Is this habit or this behavior going to allow me to see change? Because if it isn't, then that's a sign of change. That's a sign that you need to step up your game. Because the reason why most of y'all are in this season is also because of the choices that you make. We're led to this season because of poor choices. And most of this happens because we're not taking accountability of our life. That's why we're going through this season, because we're not accountable of what's supposed to be ours. What's ours is our life and our purpose. Be rooted in purpose. In this uncertainty, think about the purpose. Think about what you're supposed to do in life right now. And just take time in solitude and think, how can I stay grounded to purpose? And what I would hate is someone to lose themselves or fall down because there wasn't a rooted purpose in their life. When you're firm, nothing can take you apart. So think about the things that you can remove easily. And you cannot remove purpose easily because it's already established for you. Number 2, focus on what you can control. Stop focusing on what's out of your control, because you're getting ahead of something that you're not able to carry. Let it go. Let go of what you can't control. Because if you continue to walk in this path and where you think that you can have the whole control of your whole life, then you're wrong. I can't control some things in life. Like, for an example, I couldn't control my parents' divorce. Those are their choices, but I couldn't control that. But things happen for a reason. And I feel like it's so hard for people to understand that things happen for a reason, but think about how it shaped you. So think about this season on how it's going to shape you as well. How the heck are you going to let trauma define your life and not let a little season define and refine you? This is not the end of the world. Whenever you overcame that trauma, was it the end of the world? I don't think so. You were able to persevere. You were able to be persistent. But when it happens to you personally, it feels like an attack. It feels like there's nowhere else to run. That's where you have to take control of what you can control. Because there's a lot of things in life that is upon personal gain. A lot of things that we do is for personal pleasure. So upon that, think about what you're doing right now, the actions you're doing right now that could personally shape you. And that could be going out for a run, discipline, working out, eating healthy. All of these little habits, behaviors can help you take control of your life. Stop worrying of what's outside of your control, because you're going to get burnt out. You're going to be worried and you're not going to get nowhere. So stop it. Number 3, as I mentioned about persistent resilience and whatever vocab I was using, this would also help you build resilience. Accept that uncertainty is a part of life. Acknowledge your emotions rather than suppressing them. Engage in mindfulness or meditation practices to stay grounded in the present moment. Number 4, stay informed but set boundaries. So think about the boundaries in your life right now. It could be healthy boundaries, unhealthy boundaries, whatever it is. Think about the boundaries right now for a second. And then also think about, how are you staying informed in this season? Because this season is not an excuse for you to be lazy. If you're going to perform lazy work, then don't expect a greater outcome when you weren't actually trying to succeed whenever there was uncertainty. If you're going to approach this test with lazy work, I don't know where I'm going to see you, but I'm not going to see you where I thought you were going to be at because you couldn't navigate. So stay informed. Try to feed into knowledge. Try to feed into wisdom. Even when you feel like you don't want to do it, still do it. Because it pays off when you're informed, but you're also setting the boundaries. Set the boundaries of not crossing the line of not doing anything. That's a boundary itself. Stay informed, as I mentioned, reading books, listening to podcasts. Don't let knowledge go by because you feel stuck. Like, you need to learn to get out. Seek and you shall find. Knowledge and wisdom is like food. You just got to seek to find it. Number 5, stay flexible. Something about me is that I try to be flexible, but sometimes I'm not. But this is a great practice, a great tip for you if you're trying to navigate your life. Staying flexible is a great approach to things in life where you feel like you don't want to do it. You know, it gives you an open space, an open field to navigate through. So being flexible allows you to just take a calm breeze in life. Like, I try to do that in my everyday life because I know sometimes I get so harsh and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I even ask the person, like, no, like, who do you think I am? But whenever I feel like we're flexible in that space, I feel like it's so easy to just maneuver because of our willingness. Number 6. I don't know if you could see it. Number 6, okay? And it says, lean on your support system, okay? I am a big advocate for listening, okay? Go talk to the person that you haven't talked to in a while. Go give words of encouragement to someone that you haven't seen in a while. Because I'm telling you, you don't know what the person's going through. And those words of encouragement can help lift a person up. Instead of giving words of instruction, give words of encouragement. Because words of instruction might trigger a person, and that's not what they need at the moment. What they need at the moment is a support system. What they need in the moment is comfort. But yet, because you're so enticed with the entitlement of superiority, you're over here pushing a instruction for their life after many trials and errors that they have been failing. All they want is comfort, and you give them instructions. How are you supposed to help that person out without listening? Be slow to talk and be quick to listening. Listen to the person. Don't just hear them. Listen. And then that's where you can allow yourself to soak up their burden and be like, hey, everything's going to be okay. Give them the words of encouragement and then translate that into instruction. But sometimes we need someone to lift us up. So lean on a support system. Talk to them. Like, I'm always over here trying to help people out, but sometimes I need help too. So my best friend Jillian, I love her so much. She helped me through this hard season in life, and I told her, like, I need help. I need prayer right now. Like, I am in a season where I don't know what I'm doing. She just like listened to me, and I was crying because I felt comfort. I felt that someone was listening instead of always getting me the instructions. And then right after that, she gave me words of encouragement. And after the words of encouragement, she gave me like instructions. Like, she was like, okay, so this and that. Instead of just coming after me right after like hearing me cry. She soaked up my burden. And then she used that as a way to perform something out of her spirit upon mine to help me out, to lift me up. So stop giving instructions when somebody wants to be lifted. Seeking knowledge and seeking comfort are two completely different things. People are always going to seek that, either comfort or knowledge. So think about this situation you are right now and where the person is trying to tell you something. Because sometimes we misinterpret their situation and then we give them the wrong advice. Number 7, cultivate a growth mindset. Now, I am a big advocate also for growth mindset. Something that you have to think about is you have to be open-minded and also be optimistic upon other situations. In here, I wrote, instead of fearing the unknown, look for the potential in it. I always like to view things as good instead of bad. For me, I haven't had a bad day. Well, I have, but in my head, it's like, it was supposed to happen. Number 1, either my actions, or number 2, it was God's plan. Whichever two of them, I'm like picking and choosing. Sometimes it's my choice, and I just go to bed rotting, like, why did I do this action? But every day, new mercies come. Every day is a fresh start for you to start something new. When you wake up in the morning, think about it as a beautiful day, and don't worry about what happened yesterday. Don't worry what's going to happen tomorrow. Think about what's going to happen today, and start seeing and navigating through what you can do to make it better and the potential that the day you have. Because if you let the day go by, what are the chances of you getting a new day for tomorrow? The chances are not guaranteed, but we're always given that. That's something amazing that we have. We're always guaranteed life. And number 8, if you could see, practice gratitude. Gratitude is a practice in which most of us don't practice. A lot of these simple terms are practices like discipline, persistent, resilience. All of these little adjectives, I think they're adjectives. All of these little adjectives are basically practices in life. Gratitude is a practice in life in which I like to partake every day because it helps me understand and actually makes me love my life, because I'm given so much, but I take advantage of it. So when the day ends, I like to write down what I'm grateful for. Like, I'm grateful for the small things, but I'm also grateful for the big things. And then I'm grateful for like the internal things. So I'm always trying to practice that every day. Sometimes I do miss out on the chance to be grateful for some things that I have not seen. But to be honest, it's so hard to gather everything and be grateful for it. Like, I remember watching this TikTok, and it's like, if you were to wake up the next day after a prayer that you said that, if you were to wake up the next day with everything you were grateful for, how much items would you get? Or how many things would you have? That's what made me think, like, there's so many things I could be grateful for, but yet I mentioned or sugarcoat some of it. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm grateful for that. Like, there's so much more. That's why it's kind of like a joke, but it's really not a joke. But I'm grateful that I have like an eyelash curler. I'm grateful that I have socks. I'm grateful that I have like a jacket. Because think about it. There's so much around you that a lot of people wish they could have. And that's where I'm like, yeah, I have to appreciate even the little things. Like, even the ant on the floor. Like, some people wish they could see ants. Like, some people live in Arctic nature. So think about that. It's kind of weird, but you gotta start realizing how your life kind of changes in a way where you're like, I never really thought about this thing that I had to be grateful about, but I'm grateful because I'm living a life and where I'm showing up for it. That's what gratitude is. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to the Frame of Mind podcast. It's been a long time, but I'm so excited that I'm in the groove right now. I am very, very grateful for the backdrop that I have today. This is probably going to be my permanent setting. And other than that, guys, make sure you support the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and that you can give it 5-star ratings. And not just that, guys. If you want to support my podcast, you can go over to my social medias right here, in which you can donate in the link in bio, $20 minimum to any amount you want. The proceeds will 100% go to the podcast itself, so I could be able to produce better content. All of the money will 100% go to the podcast itself, so I could be able to produce better content, produce season 2, and overall, just the support will help a lot in constructing better podcast episodes. Anyways, guys, I love y'all. Stay safe, and if you learned something today, make sure that you could repost some clips. I want to be able to see them. And other than that, guys, thank you. Love y'all. That's all I have for you today. Bye, guys.